Consciousness forms the basis for what we find meaningful in our lives. It creates a meaning, it creates purpose, and it creates an aim and an intention, a reason for our existence itself. This is us as conscious beings emerging from unconsciousness, creating the meaning in our lives. And this exploration is done through our emotional state. This creating meaning is done with our feelings and our intentions and our ability to realize what is meaningful in our lives and to create that meaning where there was none. And we have this feeling of experience of choice to choose right or wrong, good or evil, consciousness or unconsciousness. And we make these choices to find out our relationship with reality itself, with what is fundamentally meaningful as a foundation by which we utilize in order to make more informed choices that are more aligned with what we find to be real. And in doing so, we actually make sense of the reality that we find ourselves in. And our emotions are directly related to meaning, because how much we feel towards a thing is related to how meaningful we find that thing to be, and that meaning is bound by what is real. And we do this through our emotional state, the emotional aspect of consciousness. And once we do this, we can go back and think about, well, why did it do that? And we can come up with reasons why, logical reasons why. But that's not what formed the reality in front of us. It's not. What did was the emotion, was the feeling, was the impasse. And so emotion helps us determine what we find to be meaningful by helping us determine what matters in our life, and it will help you determine your life's purpose. Because we have this crisis in purpose in our society today, and this is partially the reason why I'm here talking at all in front of a camera, because I am seeing, and I've been part of the problem in our society, and we have to acknowledge at this point, because it is self-evident, that this crisis in purpose exists. And it exists for a number of reasons, and I'm not going to get into every single reason in this video, because that's not the purpose of me making this video or talking about this stuff. I don't obsess about the problem. I acknowledge that a problem exists, and then I just want to know how to correct the problem. The moment I know how to correct the problem, we go into execution mode, and we execute on the solution, and that is all there is to do in order to solve a problem. So, this crisis of purpose exists for a number of reasons, but one of those reasons is the fact that many of us aren't doing and living well. Many of us are searching for purpose and meaning in our lives, as opposed to creating purpose and meaning in our lives by living life to the best of our abilities. You have to understand that there is this give and take, this push and pull between you and reality. And it's really hard to separate yourself from that reality, because it's all an illusion. The individual and the collective, these two separate opposing forces of the principle of correspondence, as above, so below, as within, so without, that's an illusion that separates us and makes us think that these two things aren't intermingled and connected fundamentally, which they are. What we have is people, individuals, not playing the game, failing to experience reality, failing to live life in order to create the purpose with themselves and their interactions with reality, okay? And on top of this, we have a culture right now that has, for the last 50 years or so, been glorifying depravity, immorality, and chaos itself, while simultaneously belittling and insulting and ultimately outright eradicating the order and morality that we need to tap into in order to have these experiences where we are actually creating our meaning in conjunction with the reality, the environment that we find ourselves in. And so the cultural inversion of good and evil has created chaos in our society, because for the first time in a long time, the collective's connection to right and wrong, justice and injustice, good and evil, our emotional aspect of consciousness itself, well, it's all been all but hidden from us. Hidden but not destroyed. It cannot be destroyed. It's an aspect of human consciousness. It exists. It can be hidden if we're not taught this stuff in school anymore, if we're not explained these things, because you can't actually experience justice or injustice. You can't actually grow as an individual morally, emotionally, through introspection by yourself. You actually have to be taught this stuff. This stuff is built upon thousands of years of study and inquiry and writing and teaching throughout human history. And it exists within us at the collective level for us to obtain, but sometimes it can be left elusive for us or hidden if we're never taught these things. But the thing is that we have to understand that as this chaos is created, we've talked about this in the past, we don't fear chaos. Chaos is an opportunity for people with courage, for people, understand also that courage is a feeling. But if you're an individual with courage, with strength of character, and with the right knowledge, the knowledge that we've been talking about for the last month and a half here, well, for those people, the rise of chaos is the engenderment. It engenders great opportunity. And right now, we can see no greater opportunity on the face of the earth than in Western society, because we have this huge opportunity to unfold, to enfold, and then unfold an entirely new culture. And, we have opportunities that weren't presented to us just 50 years ago because of what our culture has created over the past 50 years. And, just think about this in terms of a purely capitalistic perspective. And just look at how much easier it is to look smart when you're surrounded by 7-year-old children. If you're around 30 years old like myself and you're around 7-year-olds, you look like a genius, How easy is it to look courageous when you're surrounded by a whole bunch of cowards, In Rick and Morty, Morty experiences a whole group of Mortys, and he looks courageous around them simply because all the other Mortys are cowards, and he is the quote-unquote one true Morty, And then also, how easy is it to outwork people who are lazy, those who are lazy? It's very simple, and it's so easy, and really we have to acknowledge that this bar is set so low right now. It's set so low that oftentimes we find ourselves in a position where we're busy looking up. Where's this bar that I have to jump over? And we stumble over the bar that has been set so low for ourselves. And that's great. That's great opportunity for us. This is a great time of opportunity. I mean, just think about it. Just think about stuff that didn't exist 20 years ago. You can literally play video games for a living. So long as you're not the kind of person who plays video games by himself, just record yourself or stream yourself playing the video games, and then you can create a living for yourself playing video games. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's a wonderful way to take advantage of the culture that we've created. And that's great because you're sharing what you're good at and what you enjoy with the world. You're creating something that people can experience. So that didn't exist 20 years ago. So this is a great time for opportunity. And so moving on to doing and living well. So if you're truly living life and acting with right reason, doing good, improving, getting better, then it really doesn't matter whether you're working in a cubicle, raising a kid at home, studying, teaching somebody something, or just even hanging out with friends or forming a relationship. You're creating purpose and meaning in your life in everything that you do, so long as you're paying attention to it and caring about it and thinking about it and wondering how you can do it better. Anyone can live a successful life by doing and living well, going to school, getting a job, starting a family, growing old, teaching your kids something, passing them on things, and then eventually dying with dignity. But life cannot present itself to you if you're not willing to live life. Now, I want you to understand that I've made this mistake in the past. When you're waiting for that perfect opportunity, when you're looking for the perfect team to surround yourself with, when you're searching for what's this one thing that I need to do in my life in order to make myself into this perfect thing, and then you keep waiting and waiting and you're never doing anything. Well, the thing is, perfection doesn't exist for us humans, okay? It doesn't exist. All there is completion. Doing something, completing it, it being imperfect, and then you deciding to do it again slightly better this time. Because now you have more experience than you had last time. You have more knowledge than you had last time. And this makes us better and improves us. So, during that moment in time when you're doing and living well, and if you do good, then your life will create your purpose for you, and your emotions will point you towards deeper meaning. So as you continue to make the thing that you continue to make a birdhouse and complete the process of building the birdhouse, the first one you make isn't going to be very nice. Neither is the second or the third or the 100th. But as you continue to make this birdhouse, by the 100th time, you're making some pretty good birdhouses, some pretty nice ones. Because you're finding more meaning in every single piece of thing that you utilize in order to make the birdhouse. You find deeper meaning in wood. You find deeper meaning in the tools that you utilize. And you get more effective at using them because you understand the deeper nuances of these things. And so, one day, after months and years, even decades of simply just utilizing this eudaimonia from Aristotle and just do your life and live it well, one day you'll experience, and if you experience things, and continue to live life, one day you will bump into something. You'll experience something that will elicit some extraordinary amount of emotion within you. You'll be both experiencing probably extraordinary amounts of positive emotions and even extraordinary amounts of negative emotion. So remember, it doesn't matter whether it's positive or negative. These emotions exist to get us in motion. And so you will feel obligated, whether positive or negative emotions are experiencing, you'll feel obligated to pursue whatever this thing is that has elicited these emotions within you. You'll grow up and accept that you'll be willing to struggle, to suffer, to be humiliated and embarrassed in the process of trying to obtain this thing. And after years of struggling and suffering and trying and working and completing things to an unsatisfactory level, you'll have forged the tools necessary in order for you to be able to actually even pursue this thing. You'll be able to endure. You'll have the discipline necessary to push forward, to persist. And the pursuit will even feel good, even when it shouldn't. What I'm talking about here is a whole other level of feeling. This goes beyond just doing and living well. It's more emotion than you ever thought that you could possibly feel. It's an explosive flash of bright white light energy. And it's also a slow, long, never-ending burn, because that's the irrational, subjective nature of our emotional state. It can be both positive and negative. It can be both intense and long-lasting, and it both is not sustenance, and yet it somehow sustains us. Man does not live on bread alone. So what I'm talking about here is passion. A deep, burning passion. Passion is from Latin, the Latin word passio, which originates from the word pati, to endure, to suffer, to undergo, to experience. Understand that this word pati is where we get the word patriarch from. So this is the essence of the masculine energy, to be able to endure, to persevere, to undergo, to survive, and to protect. So this passion, which is an emotion, it's a feeling, is expressed as a powerful emotion when we feel a need, a burning need, an obligated need to endure, to persevere, to persist, and to pursue. Defiance, it goes beyond defiance. It's why you're here on earth. It's to do this thing, or to express this thing, or to tell this story, or to create this song. So, passion goes beyond a goal and into the realm of existence itself. And so we can since it does, we can ask ourselves, what is your purpose? Or we can ask ourselves, why do you exist? And if you can't answer that question, why do I exist? Then you don't know what your passion is. And that's perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with not knowing what your passion is, because we have the individual moral purpose here on earth of doing and living well. And that's something that you got to do in order to find your passion, in order to find out what your passion is, in order to find out why you exist. And the meaning that you create for yourself will, over time, eventually lead you to your passion. But you cannot find out what your passion is if you don't live life, because you may not have the prerequisite knowledge or the prerequisite experience that's necessary in order for you to find out what your passion is or why you exist at all. And so we could just look at this as, what if you don't have the skills necessary to know what your passion is? Let's say hypothetically in the long future from now, from the present moment, your passion is actually Photoshop, to create beautiful images in Photoshop and After Effects and the other Adobe products. Well, how would you know that if you've never acquired the knowledge of Photoshop? How would you know that? So how do we acquire this knowledge? We live life. We learn things. We grow. We expand. We experience new things. Likewise, if you don't have the prerequisite experience necessary to find your passion, what if your passion is to provide for your family? Well, you're going to at least have to have a family in order to know that that's what your passion is. You have to live life. You have to do things. You have to try new things out and utilize them and try to understand them and expand your consciousness. Grow with these experiences. So be curious and be open-minded, because you need knowledge and you need experience in order to find this passionate feeling that I have trouble putting into words. So you need to find out what you're good at and what you enjoy doing. And you need to have experiences that change your outlook on life. And you need discipline. Discipline can be gained through any experience, as all experience is a battle for attention. And that's all that discipline is. That's all, really, that order is. Focusing your attention on a particular thing. Defying the urge to not pay attention, to not care, to stop caring. And if you're truly living and doing well, then you will gain the skills and discipline necessary to create and find your passion in life. And really, there's no need to rush this process. Time will tell. Time will tell what your passion is. You don't need to force it. And so it doesn't matter really how long it takes, because as long as you're doing and living well, as long as you're practicing eudaimonia, then it doesn't matter, because you're doing and living well. You're doing fine. You're gaining the prerequisite knowledge and experience necessary in order to create and find your passion in the reality that you find yourself in. And so ultimately, purpose feeds passion and passion feeds purpose. Never wait for your passion to present itself to you. Find your passion simply by doing and living well and experiencing and expanding your consciousness, paying attention and never quitting. And you will create your passion out of your conscious experience. You will emerge more conscious out of the realm of unconsciousness. And so, that's all that I have to say about this stuff. Just continue to work hard. Continue to do well to the best of your ability. And be patient. And only measure yourself to who you were yesterday. All right, so in the next video, we're going to talk about the pursuit of depression. We're going to complete this image of this moral compass, and then we're going to talk about moral relativism, existentialism, and nihilism. and all of that fun stuff. And so I'll see you in the next video.